Good evening, friends. As a lawyer and a common man, the fact that as to whether there is a medical negligence and whether it would fall under the Consumer Protection Act keeps on cropping within the mind of a common man. And as to whether what is the subtle difference between a medical negligence and an act which was prudently sought to be done by a person. What are the ways we had requested Honorable Mr. Justice Paramjit Singh Dhaliwal, the former judge of Punjab Haryana High Court, and presently the president of Punjab State Consumer Redressal Commission. We had requested him that since there are a lot of students and young lawyers within this platform, those who connect with us on the Facebook and YouTube, and not only on this platform, so kindly guide us as to how the complaint has to be formed, in what form the written statement has to be done, what is the way of reply, rejoinder, and the evidence, since largely it is the cases of, though now it will change, of an original process. And whether medical negligence, since it is akin to somewhat like a tort, and what would be the procedure to take cognizance. Broadly, we all understand it is just like a legal duty, either it is an express or implied. To treat a patient must exist. And breach of such legal duty, what we say, if any comparison to an expected conduct and performance of the person from the same profession, vis-a-vis that is what is commonly expected, not a super specialization, and whether there is a presence of damage on account of the breach which is expected from that doctor, and whether it will be called as a medical negligence. Or any act, let's assume there is sometimes the impression gathered is, let's assume there is a death or there is an amputation. Its simplicity would come within the domain of medical negligence. Or we have to substantiate by way of corroborating by another expert to the effect who would substantiate that in the ordinary course by any common prudent professional, this would not fall within the medical negligence, or it would fall within the domain and the contours of medical negligence. And what is the way forward? Those who have been connected with us on the platform of Beyond Law CLC, they know that we had already had 2 sessions with Honorable Mr. Justice Dhaliwal. On the consumer protection, since we felt that consumer protection, especially with the changes of the Act of 2019, what are the way forwards? We requested Mr. Dhaliwal, who has been kind enough to give his insights on a Sunday, and that too when we are around the festival corner. And he was kind enough to accede to our request, since the participants were always believing that we should understand what is the way forward in the medical negligence. Without taking much time, I would request Honorable Mr. Justice Dhaliwal to share his knowledge, his experience as a president of Punjab State Consumer Redressal Commission, what she felt that there could be certain way forwards where the professional himself could move forward to do better, and what are the nuances which he learned, because as a judge also one learns from the lawyers, which are the things which can be carried forward, which the other lawyers and other professionals, since in consumer protection, large number of people appear in person. What could be the best way in a justice delivery system? Because they say the judges are guided by the nature of assistance. And that is why we said and requested to him that kindly share his experience and knowledge so that there is a better assistance and there are better ways to move forward. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good evening. Good evening to everyone. Today I have been invited to address on the medical negligence, specifically with reference to the Consumer Protection Act. You know, the recent act has made some changes. That is of 2019 Act, CP Act 2019. Firstly, there is a general confusion whether doctors are covered under this act or not. Some of the Association of Doctors, Indian Medical Association, they try to project it that this is not within the domain of the consumer commissions to deal with the medical negligence cases in view. In my opinion, they are mistaken. There is no change in the definition. If they have to look into the definition, all services are included. Earlier also, there was a same definition. There is not much change. Rather, only one word has been added, that the telecom. Other definition remains the same. The word service is more material. This is at the outset, I want to explain for the reason, because doctors are sometimes confused that now how the cases are being heard by the commissions. If you read the definition of section 2, subsection 42, there are material words which needs to be taken into consideration. I will refer to the definition. This is not a exclusive definition which particular things have been mentioned, but what we will have to look into, it is one minute. 42. Service means service of any description which is made available to potential user and includes but not limited to. These are the words which are specific stress is required to be given. It includes the every services which has already been decided by the Supreme Court in the VP Santha Kumar's case. There is no doubt regarding this, that still there is a jurisdiction, there is a no exclusion clause. Exclusion, rather the clause is inclusion. Though the different services have been mentioned, but also not limited. They have not excluded other services. In this manner, the definition remains the same. Only one word, telecom, has been specifically added into it. Since the earlier we were dealing with, and Supreme Court has already laid down the law on the subject. So this commissions, district commissions and the state commissions and the national commission has jurisdiction to deal with the complaints. This is a mere confusion to the doctors. Now I will come to the procedure for complaints. Slides. I have my assistant with me. He will show the slide share regarding the complaints, Medical Negligence and Consumer Act. What the complaint should contain. Number one, complaint. Complaint must contain the facts in chronological order. What type of treatment you have taken, how much you have paid to them, whether the consent was taken. Then I will independently deal with the consent, relevancy of consent, in what manner consent is required to be taken by the doctor and the hospital concerned. Then the complaint must be accompanied by evidence. Evidence should be in the shape of discharge summary, treatment taken record as provided by the hospital, and if any opinion, second opinion taken by the patient or his attendants regarding the treatment and any deficiency pointed out by any of the doctor who is expert in that field, they are the relevant material. And all this material, whatever evidence you are bringing before on record, must be supported by affidavit. Affidavit can be by the complainant, where there are minor, any guardian of the minor can file. If the person in a vegetative state, in coma, or not in a position to express, their affidavit can also be filed through his guardian, her guardian. This is the summary proceeding. For this purpose, at least the entire evidence should come at this stage of complaint. You cannot create a case in your rejoinder, because there will be no opportunity to the opposite parties to lead evidence to rebut your contentions. That is why the rejoinder, which will come later, it is only a limited rejoinder. Similarly, now the reply, what the reply should contain. Because court has to come to a conclusion after reading both the complaints and the reply. Reply should be in detail. It must deal with all the points taken by the complainant. In addition to it, they must mention the qualification of the doctor, infrastructure available, competency to deal with such an ailment or disease which is under treatment, that is the relevant healthcare. Then the consent taken, there must be in the form of a pro forma, it must be handwritten and must be preferably taken by the person who is the treating doctor. He must sign, or if he is a senior person, then any person subordinate to him or junior doctor with him under his instruction can record this consent. There are three types of consent. Firstly, when we come at the initial stage, when we say there is an issue of surgery, we advise. This is a pre-operation stage. Then there is a we may call it a pre-operative stage, then when the consent is taken. Then to support the contention in that medical treatment is as per the standard medical protocol, they must refer to the literature and others, material available, authentic books on the subject, and expert opinion, if any, they can provide for that this is the standard. The doctor must indemnify the person. For this purpose, they must get the hospital or maybe the individual doctor, they must have the insurance coverage, indemnify the losses, because litigation is increasing every day. All this, whatever you are saying in your reply, must be supported by affidavit. It may be in short form, specifying the para number so and so from of the reply are true and correct, or in a full form, it must be tested or self-tested. Similarly, now come to the rejoinder. This is in brief, I am just telling that this is the requirement. In rejoinder, you will have to only revert the new point raised in the reply. You cannot create a new case after becoming a wiser. For that purpose, only alternative can be, at least you can apply for the amendment of the complaint and add so that they may have a right to rebut those points taken by you in your complaint, because they have only one opportunity, that is only of giving a reply to your complaint. Now, this after that, arguments are heard. Now I will come to the straightway consent, because consent is most important part. Consent, earlier it was said that consent, whatever doctor is giving, it and the whatever treatment he is giving, he is covered under the Bolam test, and he cannot be held guilty. Now, this is not the situation. Now you look at the Indian Medical Council Regulation 2002, Section 7.16 specifically mentioned. That is mean now there is a statutory provision with regard to the consent. I have reproduced here the provision. Before performing any provision, the physician should take consent in writing from the husband, wife, parent, guardian. In the case of minor or the patient himself, the case may be. There is another clause where the issue is of sterility of the woman. Then her husband's consent is also necessary. It means both the party, husband and wife, spouse, their consent is necessary. Now, when there is a statutory provision, then the question of taking the Bolam test benefit does not arise. It is only in limited cases, where are emergency cases, or there is a therapeutic, that I will deal also in this regard. Now, when we will examine as a patient. Suppose A is a patient, it goes to the doctor. What he tells that this is the problem I am having, he explains some symptoms. After hearing the symptom, the doctor assess the medical condition and the status. This is known as diagnosis. Diagnose, there a doctor will diagnose the ailment. Then doctor is, as per the new latest law on the subject, we will individually deal with. This is called from Bolam to Montgomery. That separately I will try to deal with and explain it. Then after diagnosing, then there is a advice that these are the possible treatment. This is the alternative treatment. What are the risks attending on various treatments? This is the duty of a doctor. Then comes the treatment part. Then treatment comes. In this manner, at the stage of diagnosis and at the stage of treatment, patient is passive. Patient being a passive at that stage, he will have to, now when he comes to advice, then he will have to be active role. He plays active roles. He has a right to question the doctor, what are the possible consequences. I have narrated in this slide. You will look into this. Patient assumes the active role, then doctor to empower and to enable the patient to make a decision by giving a relevant, sufficient information. Information is a necessity so that patient and his attendant may make a choice and make decisions. For this purpose, cooling of period is also necessary, except in emergency. Now there is a tendency in the corporate office, the hospitals, whenever you visit, they say admit him or her, whatever it is. This is generally happening. The question being shown, I will deal with subsequently. You can raise as many questions as you like. No issue. I have decided hundreds of cases now. I think the Punjab is the Punjab Commission is so far. Punjab Commission maximum cases have been decided. Don't rush for question, but look at the information I am trying to project. This consequences, risks, benefits, everything is required. Procedure drugs. Before that, it is also required to be examined at the stage, that whether any reaction is there from particular allergy is there, everything, all information is required to be taken before entering. This is known as pre-stage. Thereafter, the advice is for treatment. In this regard, treatment should be as per the standard protocol. Standard protocol is the accepted situation, that this will be the treatment. Say I am having a fever, maybe a dengue, there may be a standard procedure for the same medicine, antibiotic spectrum. There is a specific question regarding this. If you have to ask by anyone, then the question can be asked about any earlier effect of this medicine, any reaction. These things are also be taken. When we go into this, there are some exception to the consent also, where consent is not required. Exceptions are waiver. If the patient surrender to the doctor that whatever treatment you want to give, you give it. I am surrendering. I am believing you, whatever you are, want to give this treatment, take it. No consent is required where there is an emergency. Say there is an accident, patient is brought to a particular hospital. They will have to provide the medical treatment which is available at that to the best of their skill at that point of time. If need be, it can be further referred to other places. In emergency cases, just to save a life, there is no occasion for getting the consent. This can be without any consent. Then it means implied and expressed consent. No question of informed consent in such cases arises. In some of the cases where the patient is not in a position to understand or emotional anxiety, in those cases, if you tell them that you are suffering from this disease, he may suffer more in that therapeutic type of method. In such situation, then treatment, even consent is not required. Three exceptions, this is my understanding regarding this. Now, coming to the next expert opinion. Expert opinion. Expert opinion is from the particular body. Say we are referred to the PGI being the primary institution of the area and the doctors. It is not necessary in every case this opinion is necessary. We can otherwise draw inference. What I have seen as a president of the state commission, that the reports are given by the medical board without discussing the evidence on record. That is the medical evidence which is put before them. They simply say, we have examined this. There is no reference to the medical record which they have considered. They must explain that this is the medical treatment, this is the standard medical protocol for this such type of treatment, this has happened and this has been duly given. Barely writing 2 lines and this we have examined this record, that record, and this is the result. Such a report is a meaningless. Casual reports are never accepted. Expert opinion must be exhaustive and detailed one based on the evidence led by both the parties. This is very, very important. Even the Supreme Court and other authorities says that expert opinion is not in everywhere. The courts can examine from the medical evidence on record regarding the expert opinion. Now we come to res ipsa liquator. This maximum is relevant in particular situations. Look, this can be used as with a caveat where the absolute occurrence and documents prove that there is nothing left. Now then the burden shift upon the doctor. Suppose A has undergone a surgery. Ongoing under the surgery, what we finds that he has a pain time and again. Ultimately, it is found again there is a X-ray and MRI. Then it is found that there was a seizure inside. There is this sponge inside. The band-aids are inside. Then it is itself a negligence. Because then in such cases, res ipsa liquator principle can be applied. There are other situations where the person proves on record that when I was there, this was the situation. Say, I had undergone for a treatment. When I approached the doctor, both the kidneys are there. Because the ultrasound, MRI and the other medical evidence proves that the kidneys are there, reports are there. Subsequently, it comes that after the surgery, his one kidney is missing. visit has no relevance. This type of cases are also coming. Secondly, the treatment was to be given for the right kidney, the surgery done of the left kidney. In such cases, then burden shift upon the doctors. Secondly, in such cases, we are not, this is an inference drawn. This is not a presumption of law. This is only the permissible inference that there is a negligence on the part of doctors. Occurrence itself indicates that this has happened. So this can be used as a evidence. This is res ipsa liquata is more important in circumstances. Another thing which needs to be noticed. Next. When medical negligence is when the doctor deviate from the standard medical protocol. There are two words: medical negligence. When both are combined for the purpose solely to describe how the meaning of negligence has not been described in any manner in any of the books. It is based on the day-to-day working of the doctors. Negligence defined under the IPC, Indian Contract Act. There is some where damages etc. occur. Then we cumulatively consider all these things. Basically, in layman language, it is the misconduct of the doctor which can be treated as a medical negligence. We need not explain much about this, but this is my opinion that doctor, when we approach the doctor, we treat him as a god. When doctor does not take due care, then it turns out to be a playing god. That is, he is playing with the of the patient. There is a likelihood of some death may occur and anything may happen. A slight negligence may be fatal for the patient. I have come across many cases. Sometimes it happens that the doctor goes on leave. The patient has come for a particular doctor. He is a specialist in the field. He leaves the patient does not come for 2 days and leaves at the mercy of locum. Locum word is locum means temporarily custody in the custody of a professionals who are not competent enough to deal with this emergency. Otherwise, doctor cannot leave his parents like this. But the patient must be taken care by the competent doctors only. Say a patient is admitted by a MCH or DM doctor. He is kept in the custody of, he had to go somewhere, he leaves him. He will have to go to a particular conference or something, personal work. Then he deputes some homeopath or GAMS. That deputy is itself is negligence, because cross-pathy there is no provision. These intercross-pathy, as per the regulation, only registered under the provisions, regulation provisions, the substitute appointment can be given. Substitute of doctors can be given. This itself also amounts to a negligence. Though there may be no deficiency in treatment, but if such things happens, it also becomes deficiency in service. Another thing which I have noticed during my this disposing of these such cases, a record is required to be maintained by the doctor as per regulation for 3 years. there is a specific appendix 3 under which a record is to be maintained. A record is not properly maintained by the doctors, and this is also not produced at the time of the tendering their evidence. Subsequently, many manipulations are done. When we find the record, then there are manipulations and alterations. It itself raises a presumption against the doctor because they are not supposed to make any alterations. The record should be in a booklet form, properly page marked. Loose papers are maintained. Other pages are inserted. Some of the medicines are shown to have been administered, but whatever record is initially given to the patient, no medicine might mention in this. Then it is for the doctors and the hospital to explain how this has come. Something is written in the discharge summary, but the same is not, but contrary is available in the medical record. Once you are handing over a document, then you should also mention in the discharge summary what are the brief treatments you have given. These things which create doubts and result into medical liability on the doctors and the hospital also needs to be taken care. Now we will give to the miscellaneous parts how it happens. I will suggest when you are framing a complaint for medical negligence, the advocates are lacking in many aspects. Sorry to say this. I will suggest them that they must consult a doctor before framing a complaint. The doctor may point out you that deficiency as per the record available with you. You should not rush to file a complaint. Firstly, try to get the medical record, complete record from the hospital if you are not already having. Many a time it happens that discharge summary is given, other record is not given. Many charts are maintained, temperature, oxygen level, blood pressure, MRI, ultrasound, like this. Many reports are also not mentioned. Hospital is supposed to once, now there is difficulty has arisen in many cases. Skyograms are on record, but the reports are not available. We as a legal person, we cannot look into, though we may be able to find out from the skyogram, but we are not able to find out what are the finding of the, after examining the, looking at the skyogram, ultrasound, finding given by the doctor who is a specialist in the, most probably radiologist or sonographist. Reports are also necessary. Skyogram along with the reports are also necessary. This helps in deciding the case in a better manner, then justice can be done. It is at least for 3 years you can get the reports also. If you have gone to a particular diagnostic center, you can go there and ask for the report under the RTI, because for 3 years they are supposed to maintain record for that purpose also. This is the deficiency. Sometimes the complainant loses his case for these reasons. My suggestion for the advocates is that they should prepare, because medical is a specialized field. They must get the help of some doctor before framing the complaint. This is my suggestion, because otherwise if you frame a complaint at the time of argument, you will be in difficulty. Literature will not be available. Doctor have some experience in the field and he will tell you that these are the basic deficiencies, or if there is no deficiency, at least he may guide you. Yeah, this is a wastage of time and money, so don't file this complaint. Similarly, in the reply, there are many things are lacking. Suppose a corporate sector place on record the consent. Consent is never taken by the treating doctor. It is necessity that treating doctor or under his command, some person must have the consent and record it properly. I have suggested in one of my judgment that it can be videographed, but the secrecy part is to be maintained because such a report cannot be given to third party. There is a previous specific contract between the doctor and the patient. Doctor is not supposed to disclose to any third party what are his ailment, what are the problems of the patient. Secrecy is to be maintained for that purpose, so that to save itself from the unnecessary litigation, that you have explained the consequential risks, possibility of this disease, how the disease is progressing, how it is decreasing, everything you are supposed to, how to what extent the treatment is helpful in the disease and it likely to be successful. If he is not in a position, then it is the duty of the doctor under the regulation also to consult other with the consent of the attending and the persons and the patients. In this regard, all these things must be taken care, and the doctor, corporate sector, we have seen that the affidavit is filed by the director. He does not know the even ABC of the treatment. Original record is not produced for the reason best known to them. They bring the computerized record. This can be after 3 years. If within 3 years, then the record must be shown that is the original record, which is handwritten, staff nurses, various pharmacists and other deal with the medicine, injection, everything they have to do. Must produce that record. And the affidavit must be by the doctor himself, not by the persons who are unknown. This situation may arise only for the hospital where some doctor has left. They can say like this, that this doctor is no more in employment. When he is personally party in that case, he must file his affidavit, because ultimately he is also liable. He may be held liable. The hospital is vicariously liable for the acts of the doctors. These things which we must take into consideration for this purpose. Now the question, I think I should answer. I should further proceed in the matter. Instead, I will prefer that I should take the questions which the viewers are putting on the screen time and again.
Yes, sir, we can take that. Yes, sir, we can take that.
Brief I have already explained.
Yes,
if
sir.
anyone want anything, I can explain that also. I think nutshell I have explained to you about the relevant things. Consent, expert opinion. Expert opinion is not always binding, but based upon the facts. Then the applicability of principles of res ipsa liquator, where the things will speak itself. These things should be taken into consideration. Anything which, whatever my friends or any of you want to ask now, we can discuss this.
Yes, sir. This is by Murgu Sen. No, he's just giving a suggestion by Advocate KP Boda. Can commission refer to a government hospital for opinion? What is your take?
Yes, yes. There is a there is a provision in the act that opinion can be sought. Earlier, there were judgments that court can itself suo motu refer to the hospital, for the government hospital or to the PGI, AIIMS, whatever it is. That I have been referring off and on to the PGI and AIIMS because majority of the reports which I have been finding in the complaints, the doctor usually put the report from the district hospitals where the treatment is done, which are generally in their favor, though they are cryptic and non-speaking, sketchy in nature. For that purpose, to come out to we are not here that we should frighten the doctor, that doctors may say, no, we are not going to treat the person, that it will be unnecessary harsh for us and we will have to unnecessarily go for litigation, etc.
This is by Raman Kumar. In case a forged and a manipulated medical record is issued by the government doctor, which is used in a case, would it fall? In case a forged and a manipulated medical record is issued by the government doctor, which is used in a case, what is the remedy available in that case?
No, there are two types of remedies. You can file complaint under the MCI. If you say that the forged and fabricated, then you can also file a criminal complaint. Secondly, if you claim some deficiency on the basis of that record, then we will draw the inference on the basis of record. Then certainly if the record is found to be forged and fabricated, it is apparently a deficiency and unfair trade practice. Doctors are supposed to be maintain proper records. They are not supposed to manipulate, make alterations, manipulations and forge the record.
No, probably is intending to say, let's assume that doctor has given a wrong report and then there is an FIR, etc. being lodged, and on that basis it's found that it's not actually that injury what has been reflected in the record. Because in that eventuality, whether it would fall.
Criminal proceedings are different. We are only to award compensation. This is in the nature of compensation only.
Those are probably, he would make it the question corrected. He intends to say, let's assume a complainant makes gets the report tutored according to his choice, and there's a false implication. Ultimately, found
that you will have to, because our proceedings are summary in nature. Ultimately, you will have to go to the competent court.
According to me, subject to your corrections, because he has not taken the services from that particular doctor. So I think it will not fall within the definition of that.
Then
he's an accused.
Then this matter needs evidence.
Yes.
Then it cannot be decided. We are not, we are summary in nature. If it is from a medical record, it is apparent. Then we can come to a conclusion that this tampering with and the forgery is apparent. Then we can only award compensation.
No, even the accused can come.
No, accused cannot come to us.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying, trying to say,
accused cannot come to us.
Yes,
we are not. We are only for the consumer who avails this.
His case is that the complainant has got the record tampered with the connivance of the doctor.
No, then we will dismiss his complaint and we will burden and penalize for this filing such a complaint on based on forged and fabricated document.
This is, what is the status if the doctor dies during the pendency of the complaint? Whether complaint can continue by pleading the legal heirs of the doctor?
This is a right in personam, not rem. This is a personal service. Then only the hospital will be liable. Liability can be on the hospital for where he is treating the doctor is not personally liable.
I
if he dies. But it means his actions are not personally liable.
Yes. I suppose that answers the query of Manish Goyal. This is by Murgusen. Hospitals do not give any documents or treatment papers in an easy manner or a normal manner. So what could be the way forward?
RTI, you can make a complaint, say registered with the Punjab Medical Council, file complaint to the, then they direct it to provide the medical record.
And what is the remedy in case the treatment has been got free, whether it would fall within the definition of a consumer?
Now there are two types of judgments. Where treatment is free, then there is a specific clause that this is not covered under the service. It is meant, but does not include rendering of any service free of charge. This is under the definition. But there is a judgment has come. I have also decided case of the civil hospital Rampraful, which has been upheld up to the Supreme Court. I have burdened the hospital. The issue in that case, this is Maharaj Medico. The patient, attendant of the patient purchased medicine, which was expired medicine. It was administered by the civil hospital doctors. And ultimately, due to the reaction of that medicine, the patient died. They say that we have not charged only, but we have charged only 10 rupees as a fee for the prescription. Then it also means this is not a free. Once you are charging something, we ultimately, everybody is a taxpayer also. So they are getting pay from this. I had come to a conclusion that there is a provision and the clause is mentioned, but they are liable for this. This is a gross negligence. Administering a expiry medicine. This is Maharaj Medico case, very famous for this reason and appealed up to Supreme Court.
So
I delivered the judgment in 2017.
We are taking a question forward. How do you actually substantiate that the medicine which was administered was expired? Because for that to corroborate the evidence is very difficult.
Yes. When we are taking the medicine, then there is a slip issued. It is mentioned the batch number and the expiry date also. Even on the level of the medicine which was purchased.
Yes, on the label, everybody knows that it is there.
Yes, everything is there.
But this is an insightful point that once you take, so meaning thereby you will have to take a bill, to, not for the purposes with the intent that you will have to approach for the medical
negligence. Bill is otherwise necessity now.
But it is a preemptive measure which you never know when
I have come across a few days back, a case has been argued before me in appeal. The bill itself says the bill is of May 17. Expiry date is April 17. It is mentioned in the bill itself. Batch number, everything. Not only one bill, 2, 3, 4 bills, same medicine.
It is also mandatory now, according to you, that even the chemist should mention what is the expiry date in the bill.
Yes. Not only expiry date, but it is the doctor must see whether this is not expired one or not.
So that is a second step. I am only on that point because a lot of, as a lawyer or someone feels that in case someone says that I have been administered and medicine which has expired, because tablet one anybody can buy, which is an old one or one has that place. But yes, this bill would substantiate the fact that he got treated for that particular part, and the medicine which has been the bill which he has taken has yes.
Secondly, another thing which I want to say, to keep the expired medicine, there is a specifically said under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act that they will have a separate counter, separate almirah for that purpose, where the expiry medicines are to be stored. And they can be prosecuted also, their license can also be cancelled.
Rajat Malhotra says, so what are the parameters of compensation in a negligence case?
Parameter, now the Supreme Court has given some parameter in some of the judgments with where the specifically now the latest judgment is in crore rupees. That is Agarsen Hospital versus Mr. Pooja Sharma, latest judgment. Parameters are is general medical expenses. They have occurred, already spent on that amount spent, etc. And the possible, their guesswork, we can say, that deaths of a young man of 27, it can be within whatever now our jurisdiction has exceeded more than a crore. Previously, people are generally asking for 70,000, 50 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs. It depends upon what evidence has been brought up before us, how they have been deprived of, what will be the possibility. Otherwise, we have a just guesswork.
Next question is whether there is a remedy where you have taken a free medical service.
Free medical services. Their remedy is only the civil code remedies, not under this act. But once you prove on record that I have paid for this, for hiring these services, when we get it, suppose we go to the PGI, they charge 50 rupees or 100 rupees or 10 rupees. That is not everything is free.
According to you, the admission charge is sufficient.
Yes.
The admission charge what we give at the time of getting the
that is for that we are getting the services. Otherwise, everything is provided by the government. They are not providing anything free.
Yes. Manish Goyal says whether two different reports by two different radiologists amount to medical negligence. As for example, recently number of cases have come where corona report has come positive from one hospital and other.
I am coming on that also. This situation may arise. We may have to face majority of the cases which we have to look into. Regarding this, I had just prepared a note. In our country, what we find, there is a medicine of remdesivir for this corona treatment. Some people are charging 20,000 for that. Some people are charging 3,000, 4,000. Price, I think, MRP is only mentioned as 5,000 plus. This is happening. It will, if you are charging excessive amount and prove it, say that the medicine value is only 3,000, but they are charging 10,000, 20,000. It has come to my notice that in rural areas, specifically districts and the subdivisions, doctors are supplying from their own level. The medicine of 5,000 is given for 20 to 50,000. Because the patient is in a, this is unfair, this cover under the unfair trade practice. In the regulation, it is mentioned that doctor's duty is pious duty. They should not enter into all this unfair trade practice.
Ravi that takes his question further. He says since RTI is not applicable to the private hospitals, then how to procure record from the private hospitals if they refuse to give the records?
This is mandatory. Because now the Karnataka government has already framed establishment of this private clinics. Same is within the Punjab. They are bound by, their license can be cancelled also.
Nirmal Jagdeva asked.
I was looking into the Karnataka Private Medical Establishment Act 2007 is there in Karnataka. The purpose is that excessive charges by these corporate sectors, say Fortis Hospital, Max Hospital, they are charging much more. Another question is, there was a issue which the doctors were agitating. Now in the under the regulation, they are supposed to give the generic name of the medicine. Generic name, salt only. Earlier they were giving the, because companies were paying lot of money, they will prescribing by name, say paracetamol. Now they will have to only mention the salts of the particular medicine. This is mandatory. This amendment has been made in 2016 in the regulation. As far as possible, this should be in generic name. There's a lot of difference. Price is much less.
This is by Nirmal. He says, what is the remedy for a consumer if different prices of medicine from chemist in hospital and it's that same medicine is available cheaper at the outside place?
Then you can file consumer complaint only. Such a complaint can be filed. I was, some Rachna Arora was saying some question. What is her question?
Yes.
Rachna
Arora says, is it necessary for a complainant to prove beyond doubt that there is negligence, as in many cases doctor or the soft targets?
This is not a criminal litigation. This is based on the preponderance of probabilities. If this is not a criminal liability, so on the basis of evidence available, preponderance of probabilities, you must be understanding.
Yes.
She must be understanding about that. What inference we can draw from the evidence available? This is a civil liability. There is a difference, lot of difference between civil liability and criminal liability. In criminal liability, you will have to beyond doubt.
This is by Vikas. Some civil hospitals in Haryana are issuing forged medical reports where prima facie alteration is apparent. Despite the directions in CWP number 8756 of 2010, civil surgeons are not referring the complaint to police station for FIR registration.
Then they can file damage service file. Then they can file complaint under section 156(3)(c) of the CRPC. 163 empower the magistrate to direct the police authority to register an FIR.
This is
156 subsection 3 CRPC specifies that.
They actually wanted to, they were examining as to whether, despite working for so much time in the consumer forum, whether the nuances which you had done as a lawyer and as a judge are continuing. You have reflected that 156(3) is still ingrained. Asim Gupta, can treatment charges be also challenged?
Treatment charges, then you will have to bring the comparative evidence that treatment charges for particular hospital cannot be challenged except the medicinal charges, because it is a personal service. One doctor may be charging for 15,000, another may be claiming 500 also for the same treatment. The only thing which you can file complaint in such situation, suppose if medicine is particular medicine, the price in market is 800, Max is charging 1,000, then this is against the settled unfair trade practice. They cannot charge such price. Personal service, this is the individual.
This is by Rohit Mansukani. Head of compensation when patient is alive and there is no present injury, but risk of future injury is there. For example, a vaccine may cause cancer, autoimmune disease in future, which is not known today.
Yes.
So what
which is not known today. This question may arise in the case of COVID situation, because vaccine is, if the given, what will be the side effect? Then the consent is required to be taken from the patient that this medicine is under trial and not authenticated so far. Without consent, administering such a vaccine may result into liability. consent is required. By disclosing everything, then everything is possible.
This is
Yes.
in Ashok Chanana, and is exception to therapeutic disclosure available to a patient who deliberately asks a doctor not to take consent and do whatever he thinks is right.
No. Once that comes under the exception of surrender, waiver. Therapeutic purpose is when we find that the person is under stress. If we disclose that you are already a madman, if we disclose this fact to everyone, nobody will accept that. By not saying this, if you say that his anxiety and emotions will affect his situation, in such a case, then we are not supposed to disclose it, because it is for the betterment of the patient.
This is by Murali. Most of the corporate hospitals, even for skin grafting, admit, and then they ask the dietitian should be consulted, and then they charge for the same. Can it be stopped in any manner?
No, there is a provision in the regulation. If doctor, while treating, that something else is required, some other consultation is required, then it is rather mandatory under the regulation that if there are multiple problems, then he should consult the other concerned doctor and inform the attendants of the patient and the patient if he is in a position to understand.
This is Rohit. No, that question I was just checking it out in the Facebook. This is by Shivaji Dulia. How to prove interventional procedures? A patient goes to a doctor, goes to a hospital with chest pain, and the doctor implants a stent in the heart, though it can be cured by medicine. How to prove interventional procedures in this and such courses?
Intervention procedure, there is now there we can find out. Suppose there is a stunting. This is a common complaint. I have heard of 1, 2, 3 complaints against Fortis, that they were saying that the 3 stunts were put. Actually, thereafter again issue rose. Then it was found that actually 2 stunts were administered. This situation can be when you go for another problem, then it may be pointed out. Then report came that there were only 2 stunts were administered earlier, not 3. The stand taken by the hospital, it is flushed out. It is not possible. Then you will have to positively prove it.
This is by Ravish Bansal. How to prove that the hospital forced the attendants to buy medicines from its in-house pharmacy only and refuse to administer medicines brought from outside, because hospitals simply deny such facts.
They cannot do that. That is covered under the unfair trade practice. Because they are charging excessive price, for that reason they may ask that the medicine should be purchased from this is covered under the not deficiency, but covered under the unfair trade practice on the part of hospitals.
Nirmal Jagdeva says, in a consent by an attendant, is consent by an attendant valid consent once the patient is perfectly okay, as he was never told that he was to undergo?
No. If the patient is a major and okay in a position to give consent, then the consent of the patient is necessity, not the third person. This sometime it happens when we are getting the medical this consent form signed, they are signed by someone else. This can be only in the situation where the patient is in a particular situation that he is not in a position to give consent.
Yes, sir. So I've just checked it out on the Facebook. Also, we don't have any questions, as well as on this platform. So thank you to all those participants who have been watching live on the Facebook as well as on this platform. We are indebted that on a Sunday evening you had joined with us for an insightful session. And as when we had requested Honorable Mr. Justice Paramjit Singh Dhaliwal, that medical negligence is an act which ordinarily, once you adorn the, once you have the gown of the lawyer, immediately the people start asking as to whether it will fall within the domain of medical negligence or not. So I'm quite happy that the way you have distilled the entire facts as well as the legal position, that the participants would definitely learn from that, and those who will connect with us on our YouTube channel or Beyond Law CLC, they would also definitely gain. Tomorrow, the session is Public Interest Litigation and Overview by S.K. Premraj Menon, advocate, who is also running a webinar series down south in Kerala. They have also done around 150 webinars. And he's also an erudite speaker. So do stay connected with us tomorrow at 4 p.m. And before parting, on behalf of all those participants who are connected today, we are thankful to Sir for giving his insights on a topic which, as I said, even a common man is quite interested as to how the things go forward. Thank you to everyone.